Now, whereas last video's themes were being the first at literally anything and like getting into places I'm not supposed to be in, today's theme is going to be promises. Starting out with the very first promise I'm going to make to you, and that's to teach you how to make the very easiest video editing trick in all of history, okay? So what you do is like you take something like this monitor, and then you cut a mask from here to there, to there, to there. And what this mask will allow you to do is just to replace this here with pretty much anything. Like right now, this monitor, as you can see, is not turned on, but now, holy shit, you guys, something here. It's that easy. But what I can also do now is show you this.
I've seen my new studio setup. No, I haven't. Did you make a video? You should make a video. I want to see it. If you make a video, Michelle, I'll make a video. On my end.
So yeah, Joey, I promised you a studio tour and you promised me a studio tour in return. So here we go. This is my studio tour today, and I hope to see yours soon. Now, I can very well understand that studio tours may not necessarily be your thing. I personally find them really interesting because, honestly, I'm a creator and I love to see what other people do in order to create their content. But hey, you know, chances are that you may not be a creator and maybe you don't really care. In that case, then this video is probably not for you. Next one hopefully will be for you. However, today I want to show off like my studio tour a little bit, partly because Joey asked me to make a video about it, and partly because like I have not been making content for the past 2 weeks because I have been rearranging everything here to set it up to like make even better content. So I also feel it's kind of like my responsibility to share with you guys, hey, I've not been working, but this is what I've been working on, basically. This is why you've missed content. I hope it's worth it. Now, one thing which I want to try and do to make this as interesting as possible is to like divide everything up in segments, such that like you can kind of get an idea as to like what each part of the room has its function for. And let's start, I guess, with over here, which should be the main important section, which is like the computer area. Now, the focus of the computer area is kind of to be like the main working stage. So what you find here is that we have like the 2 monitors to be working on. Basically, like the main focus of the computer is to serve the video making and the stream making. Now, if you take a look between these monitors, there's probably 3 things which kind of stand out to you from like your standard PC setup, which is the camera right there, the microphone right there, and probably like the big light down there. Those are things which are specifically made such that I can very quickly either stream or record a video. So the camera right here is fixed in place, which is like kind of my main camera, which I use for either streaming whenever I do like a scene like this, where I sit here and I talk to the camera and hey, like we stream with this. I also use it with a green screen in the background so that we can play games. And then the microphone up there just makes sure that I capture correct sound. Like right now I'm speaking to the camera and you can kind of hear me alright. That's because there's a microphone up top on this camera. However, this camera is very far away. If I were to put a microphone up here, like you'd barely be able to hear me. So this microphone sits up like pretty close such that I can talk to the camera, which is like pretty far away, but still you'll be able to hear me. However, if this thing was like closer to here, like you'd be able to see it, which doesn't really look good. And overall, like the light is just really, really good. These lights are just like kind of cheap like LED lights, which I bought off of Amazon, and honestly, I would definitely recommend them. I know that like Elgato has like special like lights that like tune into like their entire ecosystem, but lights are just lights. You calibrate them once to kind of like set them up to the way that you want them to be, and then you just turn them on and turn them off. And that's like all that lights need to be. I don't really think that lights need to be like, I don't know, $200 or so. I think they can just be like lights. Now, those are kind of like the centerpieces of the PC setup, but there's a lot more to it. Like, for instance, here on the side of the monitor, we have another like webcam on like a little arm, and then we have a microphone right here. This is what I call the side scene, which basically I only use for streaming, where if I have like the front monitor where kind of like I can deliver the main show sort of thing, this here is like if we just want to have a talk and have a chat, kind of like we're doing right now. If I were to only be talking to you like this, it kind of gets boring. I like having these multiple angles. And normally I don't really have a camera right here because there's some controls over here which I can't really, like, I can't have a camera right there. But this side, like, that's next to a wall, so I can just do whatever the fuck I want with it. So that's why this thing is right here. But another really cool thing which I can do is if I take this camera and I move it up, I can do something really, really cool with one single press of the button, which is creating an overhead camera right here. Now, overhead cameras are like some of the hardest things you can ever try and do when it comes to like making videos or doing streams. That is because you need to take like a big heavy camera like this thing, and you basically like need to lift this thing up into the sky and just make sure that it stays stable there. And if you just see like what kind of tripod I'm using to like keep this thing stable, it's like if you want to have a big camera kind of stable in the air, it's fucking hard, man. However, it is actually quite easily possible with a microphone arm, which honestly just sounds insane. I made a video about this like about a year ago or so, where I was like trying to like hold up the webcam and such. Like I went into like the setup. Honestly, it's been very good to me. I would definitely take another like one of these Rode arms if I need to have like another like overhead setup. It's just really good. It allows me a little flexibility, and especially when it comes to like doing things on stream, like I want to be doing a lot more things like with my hands. For instance, like Joey's been building like Gunplas, which honestly I know nothing about, but it's just so cool to see that like he can be like working on things and like you can have these two different angles going on at the same time. And also when it comes to like making these like tech videos, which I used to do and I didn't do all that much, one of the reasons for that was that it's just like so hard to like make sure that you set things up properly. And right now I already have like an instant like overhead setup with a front camera. The only thing I still need to do is just, you know, make a script and record the videos, I guess. Alright, so now welcome to like part 2, which is like the big, oversized, kind of out of place corner. Which I'll explain in a second what that means, but first let me like move this light. This light right here is actually like movable, which is completely intentional because we have several corners and like 2 lights. So basically what I do is like I have one light which I move around such that I always have good lighting for my shots. Now then, let's start off with why I call this the oversized, sort of out of place corner. That's because there are 3 things here which I think are completely oversized, completely out of place, but very necessary parts of like content production. Starting over like the most important thing right here, which is like this camera. This camera right here is completely oversized. It's a Sony FDR AX1 and it shoots in 4K and costs about as much as well. This actually was like one of the very first cameras which I got when I started making videos. That's because I didn't know anything about video production and I was like, what kind of camera do I get? And I was like, I don't want to start out too cheap. I don't want to like, you know, go too flimsy on this. So I got this thing here because like it said 4K right there. It looked big as fuck. And like, I mean, like it looks professional. It's like, if you think about a professional camera, like tell me, do you not think of this thing right here? Like, that's what I thought. It's like, yeah, it's like, let me go and get my very first big professional camera. I'm using it right here. Now, some of the best features about this camera is that, like, it has a full-size HDMI out, which means that it is perfect to be using for, like, as a studio camera, which I just set up and I have no worries about. It also has, like, a DC in port, which basically means that, like, I have full power, that I can just keep feeding it. I don't have to worry about batteries. It is, like, one of the most best studio cameras out there. It is big, it is bulky, but it does exactly what you want it to do. Except that that thing right there does a way better job at it. So yeah, this thing right now is kind of outdated, but what I use it for right now is the so-called couch seat, which is defined by me sitting on the couch. Obviously. This right here is also the picture that the big Sony FDR AX1 camera gives, and as you can tell, it's like, it's not that bad. I wouldn't say it's like spectacularly good. I think that this has a lot flatter image, so that you can use it for color grading and stuff. However, at the same time, while I'm streaming, I don't really have the time to be doing that. And secondly, this picture has a lot more grain, which means that if you zoom into me very closely, you can see that I have like a lot of like grainy like pixels over me. I don't know why this camera does that. I've tried so many settings, so many things with this, and I just can't figure it out. One of the cool things, by the way, if you're wondering about like what the hell this logo is, the next level, that used to be like the channel name for about half a year or so, as I was trying to find like a good name for this channel. We went through about 3 iterations, and the next level was like one of those iterations. I think the second one. That I painted on here, I still think it looks pretty cool. It has no real connection to the channel anymore, but hey, it looks cool. Alright, so then, well, returning to like the oversized, kind of like not fitting corner, I think I keep giving it a different name every time, but who cares. Next to this giant camera, we have this mixer panel right here, which is the Yamaha MG12XU. It mixes down all the like audio channels that I use for my stream. So what we have is we have 4 microphone channels, of which like we have 3 wired microphones and like 1 wireless. Furthermore, well, we also have my Discord audio, so if I'm on a call with someone, I can like move that on this channel right here. Then we also have a game channel, so basically if I'm playing a game, like I have the game audio routed separately, so I can turn it up or turn it down. Because seriously, if you've ever like played a shooter game and you're trying to record that, like you don't know, like you really don't realize how loud they make like these shooting sounds compared to everything else. It's like dialogue is all the way down there, and then shooting sounds are just all the way up there. It is annoying. Game devs, just stop it, please. Like normalize that shit. Because honestly, it's like, oh man, maybe it's a great experience. No, it's not. It is not. I want to hear what your characters have to say. I want to hear the music in the background, and I don't want to be like bled to death in my ears because like your shooting sounds are just like so fucking loud. Some of the worst offenders, Apex, Warframe, stop it, you guys. Absolutely stop it. It is not fun. Rant over. Moving on, what we also have is we have a like music channel, which basically allows me to adjust the like level of like background music or computer noise. And then finally we have like another output. So first of all, what we have is this entire thing outputs like the entire mix to basically my like USB port. So basically this thing is seen by my computer as like a USB microphone. However, what I've also added is like another output, and that output goes into the Rode AI1, which is like this tiny little box thing, which I use such that I can have like only my microphone audio goes to people that I'm on a Discord call with. I hope that sort of makes sense. It's like a big giant thing. There's so many more channels, like I can adjust the high and mids on those, but I know nothing about audio. So I basically just have it all set to standard and it works for me and I'm happy with it. And then finally we have the computer, which I guess I made like an entire video about like what my computer specs are. So I'm not really gonna go over it all that much. And then finally we come around to like the newest part of the setup, which is this thing right here, which like we kind of like built at the start of this video sort of thing. The goal of this is to kind of expand my streaming capabilities a lot beyond what I previously was able to do. What do I mean with that? Well, basically when I started out streaming, the only thing that I did was play video games or just do a bit of just chatting, where I just sit in a chair and like we just talk. Now I do have an overhead camera, which means that right now I can practically do more, but I've never really been able to do like big things. So let's say that I have like a big box which I want to like unbox or something. I can't do that. Well, now I can. This entire thing is just kind of like build up out of like a GoPro, another display, and like a microphone right here, and technically that's pretty much all I need. Now, one thing which I kind of want to share here is this display here. Why do I need yet another display right here when I already have 2 back there? Well, the reason for that is that I want to be able to like kind of reference where the hell I'm at while I'm doing a stream. So for instance, while I'm talking to the camera right here, you may constantly see me kind of like looking down right there, which means that I'm kind of checking whether, hey, you know, how am I standing? Right now, I'm kind of like, I don't really like this angle because it's like pointing down too much. So I'm pointing it up. I'm making sure that I'm standing in front of this light right here because it looks weird if there's like a light shining into the camera. This thing also has a chat thing, which I can read, and it has a Discord here. However, if you've been paying attention, you may be wondering like, hey, why the hell is this all set up inside an OBS thing? Why the hell do you have OBS open right here when it just shows you like things that you find important and not necessarily things that you want to stream? Well, that is where my favorite part of this video comes into play, which is weird, funny hacks that I've discovered while, you know, doing this setup. Now, what the hell do I mean with like weird, funny hacks? Well, they kind of relate to solutions to problems which you discover while you're setting things up, but you can't really find a good solution to it, so you kind of just jerry-rig something. So for instance, this right here is my OBS scene, which I just showed you, which has my like OBS camera in there, it has my Discord in there, and it has my chat in there. Normally, what you do is that you use all these things which you have right here on your main desktop and you read it from there. So then why don't I just like clone my main desktop and just call that a day? Well, as you may recall, that screen was not installed like horizontally, but vertically. I looked around whether I could duplicate windows, but that's not possible in like Windows 10 as far as I know. However, what I can do is I can just do like a window capture, and then I can just like window capture it and just like throw it up here, and like I don't actually stream with this shit, but you know, I just use it. And I was like, bro, this actually works. And that's why this scene is also called I Am a Genius. Now, that is not the only like OBS hack which I use, because like the thing which I started running into was while I was streaming games, was that if I wanted to use this footage to like record and make videos out of, if I were to record it with basically my stream with my webcam overlaid on top of the game, if I wanted to use that, I would have my webcam basically baked onto the game and I would not be able to like do anything with that. Well, one thing you can do is just open up another instance of OBS, then virtual camera share that to your other instance of OBS, and then record both at the same time. I used to do this with like my really old PC, and I used to call that boating because that would take up 100% of my CPU usage and 100% of my GPU usage. However, this PC is so fucking good that I can just like do it easily, and also apparently have enough resources left to like run another instance of OBS for like the bullshit I was just talking about there, so that's good. Now the final thing which I want to talk about is the green screens, because that's kind of like a big focus in this room. You can see the green screens along with like the sound padding which is there, which I definitely do recommend if you want to like record anything in rooms. Like the sound padding is so important to like give you good acoustics. However, like the green screens that you see right there are kind of important. Not a really big one there because as you can see that thing is on display but I never really use it. The most important green screen that's here is the one that's over there, which is like the Elgato green screen. Now the absolute great thing about this green screen is that it kind of like opens up as like a projector screen such that it's completely like without any folds, without any creases, and it's just like it's instant ready to go. However, there's one tiny little problem with it. And that problem becomes very quickly clear the moment you start using it. So what you can see right here is on this side, it looks perfectly fine. We're filming this with like the Sony ZV-10, which as you can see is like a killer camera. And this side is perfectly fine. However, on this side, you're seeing that there's like some artifacting here where basically like the green screen gets too dark such that like it can't really like detect that there's enough green there, so it kind of just like kind of fades out there. It doesn't look nice. Now, I've tried fixing this by like having like the other light always pointed to like the side. So I have one light up top here, then I have another light like behind this monitor, and then I would have my movable light to the left of me to kind of like shine brightly on both even ends. However, as you can see, it doesn't really work that very well. Until you do this. Now this is a solution which I have never ever heard anyone speak of when it comes to green screens and lighting it. However, the moment you do it, the moment that you hear about it, it's like the most logical thing on the planet. So like these green screen issues where the green screen isn't properly lit is so common, and people say like, oh well, you gotta have separate lights for like lighting you and lighting the green screen. However, the thing is like that would mean that I would need to set up like 4 lights in like 2 different locations, like in the span of less than a meter, basically. I can't do that. I don't have the space for that. The thing that I need though is I need to have like a consistent, like uninterrupted light source that's focusing on the green screen and not like being obstructed by me. So if I can't do that from the front, then what about if I do that from the back? Now this is what it looks like when I put my light behind the green screen. Notice how this corner is totally fine. Notice how this corner is totally fine. I have never had such a perfect green screen in my entire life. And it's like I can't even fathom like how good this works. So if you're ever having troubles with like a green screen where basically like you're having issues where the green screen isn't properly lit and you have tried like literally every single setup with like a giant light above you, a giant light on like 2 ends of you, all that sort of stuff, try putting an LED light behind the green screen. It's a hack that doesn't even feel like it's like allowed. It doesn't feel like you're allowed to do that, but it works, and it works absolutely fantastically. Okay, now that is most of what I wanted to show today. I don't think I've covered everything here yet because like there's still this corner here which like is mostly just like kind of like gear storage and stuff, and then we have like the consoles and like the archive PC here, which I still more or less kind of want to resolve with like the computer like cabinet which I want to build, which is for later. And then there's also just like so much here on this computer right here where basically I have added like 60 new scenes in OBS for like my new stream setup. We also haven't talked about the Stream Deck yet, which honestly is like one of the best pieces of streamer gear. This thing basically allows me to custom select which scenes I want to use. It allows me to like use zooms, open up all sorts of things. It's like really cool, but honestly I feel these things kind of warrant a video on their own because there's so much here that I don't know what to cover, and I feel like this video has already taken so long in the sense of like I've just been talking for about an hour to 2 hours about like all the cool shit that's in this room, and I don't know how to present it in such a way that's kind of like accessible to people that have no idea about studios, and at the same time is also like understandable and like, wow, that's so cool, for people who kind of know about this stuff. So I don't know, like, this is the very first time I'm really doing a studio tour video, so kind of like let me know what you think of it. Overall, like, that's kind of like the entire thing here. It's not very big, but it's very like functional, or at least I hope so. And yeah, like, I don't really like to film in here all that much because, as you can tell, it's kind of like one single thing. But hey, you know, I hope that this was interesting, like seeing the studio and like seeing like where these videos are made, how I kind of like make my videos and streams basically. And yeah, Joey, I can't wait to see yours. This was my studio tour. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think of it. Are there things that you kind of want to have seen more, or things that I glossed over too much? I really don't know. It's the first time I'm doing it, so yeah. But that's that was the studio tour of 2022. If you have like a really cool like setup when it comes to like video creation or whatever you create, like let me know, like share it in Discord or something, because like I love seeing like how people's workplaces are set up. It's kind of cool because not only does it show me like what goes into like creating something, which I may not be entirely familiar with at all, but it also kind of like shows like how you work, because I like things to be neat and organized. I like to have different places where I can do different things. But other people like to have everything in one spot, or like everything like very minimalist or very cluttered. And I think it's just like really cool the way that people work and what their workspaces look like. Also, if you're wondering about why this picture may look a little bit different, that's because I'm using the Sony camera right now, and not the Canon camera, which is right there, because that thing here, kind of like the battery died. So I had to use this thing, and like we're already done with recording with this. So hey, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a studio tour video, a little bit longer than the other videos, but hey, it's kind of like me geeking out about the stuff which I like. So hey, forgive me for the random ass quality of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.